السلام عليكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Today we will start discussion on a new surah, Surah Al-Mujadilah. Surah Al-Mujadilah was revealed in Medina, and in the order of Qur'an or the Mus'haf, you see it towards really the end of Qur'an, like at the beginning of Para 28. Okay, but it was basically revealed in Medina, and it is interesting if you look at the order of revelation of Qur'an. You see that Al-Mujadilah was revealed after Surah An-Nur. So we did really the right thing in the selection. You did really the good thing in making the selection of this surah, and it makes a lot of sense as we dissect, if you like, the surah. You will see that the topics that the surah really addresses are or come under the same category. Okay, there are social problems, okay, that Quran takes the opportunity to deal with them. I mean by that Quran was not revealed in a vacuum. Okay, it was not like a corpus that was revealed in totality to Muhammad ﷺ and given to him and say, okay, go and implement. Okay, but the revelation was really a reflection of what was going on in Arabia, or where Muhammad ﷺ basically was, either in Mecca or in Medina. Okay, the two places that he spent basically his life, and in particular the part when he was basically receiving really the revelation. So it makes lot of sense, okay, for us also to understand better, okay, or to understand better the structure, if you like, of the surah. And we will spend this session really talking or giving this overview of the surah. So when we tackle it verse by verse, we understand, okay, where these basically verses fall and what they are basically trying to address and solve. And if you look at the surah, and really it's and by the way, if you look at also this order of revelation of the Medina, if you like, surahs, you also find that Surah Al-Munafiqun was also revealed before Surah An-Nur, to give also the and before that Al-Ahzab. And we have alluded to Surah Al-Ahzab as we were discussing Surah An-Nur, because also there were issues that were basically very common, okay, between these two surahs. But to see Surah Al-Munafiqun coming really in between, okay, also it speaks for what we have been saying all along as we were discussing Surah An-Nur, that Al-Munafiqun were basically a major force behind, okay, some of the issues or the social issues that were prevalent in Medina in the days of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Quran was coming down to help the Prophet, to give guidance to the Prophet, okay, to give him the nur, the light, the guidance, okay, to basically address these issues. And if you remember that when we were discussing Surah An-Nur, we followed a a tool, if you like, or we utilize a tool that will help us to understand what is really the major axis of the surah around which the verses rotate. The main objective, if you like, of the surah. Okay? So from the name of the surah, okay, and the first verses, the first part, we know that the surah was addressing in particular, okay, a specific form of divorce referred to as dhihar, okay, dhihar, which is a form of divorce that was practiced in Arabia or among certain tribes, okay, and where the man, okay, or the husband will not divorce his wife completely, but he will basically keep her like hung, like not totally divorced, and at the same time not treating her like his mother. So he will tell her, okay, you on a whim, okay, you are not anymore totally my wife. You will be like my mother, which means that there is really no connection. I mean, no relationship, okay, that you would expect between a husband and wife. But at the same time, she cannot really. She is not totally free, if you like, to live her own life or choose another husband and continue her life, okay, or open a new page, if you like, in her. But this thing we will tackle in more details as we discuss the surah. But this is one of the issues. Okay. Now, in fact, Qur'an does not tell us about. The Qur'an, when you read the verses, you basically see how Qur'an treated that issue or the solution. So from the solution you infer, okay, what was really the issue. Now there are narratives, historical narratives that you can basically look at them, but you look at them in view of Qur'an itself. You get what I'm trying to say? So from the solution, I know the disease. Okay? Now if I want to know more about the disease, I may utilize other sources to tell me what was going on, okay, in Arabia at that time. What is this type of divorce that was practiced? But it is not strange to what Qur'an is talking about. This is what Qur'an is basically focusing on. Okay, so as we use this example, so if I know somebody taking insulin, I can infer right away that the patient has diabetes, even if I am not really in the medical field, okay, or in healthcare field. So the same way we will look at, for another issue that the surah talks about, okay, is I refer to them as the forbidden secret councils, where people come together and start talking about a certain issue, okay, but the intention is basically to plot. The intention is really like to spread hatred, animosity among the Muslim community, and also the hypocrites or the al-munafiqun were also behind this. Quran referred to this as an-najwa. Okay, but the reason I said forbidden, because these counsels can be used for good, but they used them to spread mischief and to spread evil instead of using them in something that would really be helpful for the Muslim community. And this is here is a very good example of what we have been emphasizing over the years, okay, that every action we take as humans, it has a direction. So the problem is in the action itself, but in how are you going to use it? What direction you are giving to that? So if you take a najwa, okay, itself, these counsels, these secret, if you like, counsels, okay, if they are used for good, they are okay. If they are used for evil, then they become forbidden. But I tried also at the same time to find what is really the common thread, okay, among all the issues that the surah addresses. Because the surah, yes, the main focus from its title is really about this issue of Bihar and this woman who came to the Prophet complaining about it. Okay, but the surah also discusses other issues. So what is really the common thread among these different issues that will allow us to suggest or hypothesize, if you like? And we can test that hypothesis as we go on, and we can all either refute or expand or adjust, okay, or accept it if we were right from the beginning, okay. And I see that the axis of the surah, the objective of the surah, is to prevent the internal and external pretenses that lead to degradation, and in particular the degradation of women.
That's what I was thinking.
Is that right? Yeah, the degradation.
All these three surahs are Ahzab, Nur, and this.
Yeah. You see, it's really like there is some form. So there are plans, okay, being put, okay, and the pretenses, okay, utilized to lead, okay, into the degradation, mistrust, disruption of the solidarity of the new society in Medina. Because the issues that, like for example, An-Najwa that we were talking about, again, its main objective, if used for evil reasons, for the wrong reason, they definitely will disrupt. I mean, imagine that I, God forbid, like came to a few people among you and start talking to them and separated from the rest of the gathering or the community, how they are going to perceive it. You see what I mean? But if the society trusts each other, even if you see me, for example, talking to Shakil and Yusuf like on the side, you will not see, oh, they are plotting against us, because there is a trust. But if there is mistrust, every movement you will see it against you. You see where so this is why I use the mistrust, okay, being also an objective of these groups who were trying really to disrupt really the fabric of the society, the solidarity, the unity of the society. And so, if this is, I will tell you now, okay, what are the major problems that the surah is tackling, okay? But you can see, so that you can see if you agree with that, hypothesis that this is really the objective or the main axis of the surah, where its different blocks, okay, which are the verses themselves, rotate really around that objective. Make sense to you?
Yeah.
And I really want your input if you have looked at the surah or you have any questions at this juncture.
Just one question. I'm trying to understand when they say that, his wife will be like his mother. Is it possible the implied meaning was, from the man's perspective, she is now the mother of his children?
No, his mother.
His mother.
His mother.
Oh,
Yeah,
my God.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know where that comes from, because
Yeah.
even in the Western, even in America, and I watch movies where the couple, they're very old, they have grandchildren and all that. So the man addresses his wife as Mama. Doesn't mean that his mama is mother of his children.
Yeah, or like, I mean, using it like as a form of. I mean, we all, I'm sure, use these
like
different terms, okay,
right.
so that you are, in your strong emotions towards me is like the emotions of my mother towards me, but not I am treating you like my sister or my mother, okay, in all aspects. But yeah, that's yes.
Yeah, like I from Surah Nur to this, which we reflected long time. I think Quran is trying to liberate a woman from where she's a victim whenever and whoever wants to control her. This is the easiest way.
Yes.
And it is still going on. I have seen in Islamic world my own. When I go back, it is very easy to point out, oh, she is not this. I'm tackling nowadays one of my teachers' problems too. One of the most pious person could be, like why she was talking to. We still control women with these things.
Yes.
And Quran is consciously liberating women.
Very good.
Yeah, you cannot. She's not the only object which you just. Islam does not revolve only around the woman. Whenever you feel like you put her there and your chauvinism and you.
Very good. In other words, if we look at that particular practice, it's obsolete now. I mean, nobody is. I mean, to my knowledge, that this has been abolished. Okay, but why Quran will be using it? Okay, for all the generations to know about. You see what I mean? In other words, as if Quran say, I am bringing before you an example. Okay. Learn from that example and apply the lesson to all other issues that may look alike. Anything that will degrade, any practice that will degrade women or deal with them as a merchandise. At my whim, I can really use that or don't use it or something like that, which means that looking at them as less.
Superior,
and the man is basically coming to them from a superior position, which is basically, this is why I said, like, okay, what is really the objective, the bigger picture, and these are just examples. So in other words, when I see an example, I should not really dwell too much. The example is only to understand the issue, but in a practical way. It's not, Quran is not talking about these issues and again in vacuum. No. These things were practiced. Yes, today they have become obsolete, but it seems that we have replaced them by other practices, if they may be even worse or as bad as that particular form of divorce. Even divorce itself, okay, or marriage itself, okay, can be basically given a different direction and being used, okay, under the banner that they are okay, that they are halal, but they may be used, okay, to achieve wrong, really, objectives and aims. So this is why we have really like to enlarge, okay, the picture, okay, and in other words, instead of looking at this issue as if I'm looking at one tree in the forest, I have also to look at the forest itself. That this tree is part of this bigger picture, okay? Rather than focusing on this and forget, oh, we are done, thank you very much, and why Qur'an will leave it? I mean, why Qur'an will really like leave it, okay? I mean, if it is in Qur'an, it means that it is relevant to me today. But in what way? Okay, how I can bring that particular issue to the age? Unless I look at the bigger lesson, macroscopically, I will lose it. And I see why Quran is telling me about this if it is now is an obsolete issue. You see what I mean? Even the way Quran treated it, I want to understand, okay, what is the objective? What is really the end point? What is the end point of all the measures that were taken? Or really looking at them in a literal way, or I can see through them another objective. Yes, Yusuf.
Two things I take.
Again, we will go into these details as we discuss the surah. But now let us, enlarge the picture so that the surah will. Oh my God, this is really a beautiful surah. Now it is time to go in and look at the details.
Two things I'm thinking of this. Number one is that women's status at that time was very low in the mindset of the men. So we call it haqir, less, low.
Yes, haqir, yeah.
Haqir, right. So metaphorically, yeah, there is an example. There are so many things we look at, we at the upper side and something else at the lower side. That's
it can be between men themselves or women themselves or between women and men. Yes.
Exactly. It could be also poor and
yes.
Another thing which I take this from, because at that time the status of the woman was low, and even then she is in argument with the prophet, with the top person, and he is not saying anything, he is listening.
Yes.
That also gives us another lesson. How should we behave? How should how should we treat people? Those are the two things I'm thinking.
Yeah. In fact, this last point that you mentioned will be a major focus, in fact, of our discussion. But thank you very much for bringing these issues out, because that will really make the discussion definitely deeper. Okay, again, because we are not going like to say, okay, this is what happened, and this were the other, and let us go. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum. No. I mean, we want really to understand exactly, okay, the social dynamics at the time. Okay, and since you mentioned this, Brother Yusuf, and I think this is something that overall we have failed really like to do, is to see the major transformations. Give you an example, not from social studies, but let me take an issue in science. Okay, when you look at a new discovery in medicine or in technology or in engineering, in any field, okay, I really want myself, and I want you, and I want people who have also deeper knowledge, okay, to help me understand what does that really mean. You see, if I look at the most recent changes and advances in computers, in the phones, okay, I really need to ask a bigger question. And in fact, this is what philosophers do, or thinkers, or intellectuals, okay? And this is why sometimes you see that the intellectuals and the thinkers are a little bit behind. Why? Because the discoveries are very quick. By the time they find an answer, okay, something new emerges or is invented or discovered. Okay. For example, recently there was a discovery of 7 planets that they look like the Earth. What does it really mean? What does it really mean to me? And honestly, if you look at how philosophers really were thinking in the last 50 years or little more, 50 to 60 years, they changed the way they asked the question. Before that, you know what was their major question? They call it the epistemic question. How do we know what we know? This is how they framed their questions in order to come up with answers. Because people are asking, and they were wondering, what does that social event mean? What is really this new discovery mean to us? Okay? And so their question, how do we know what we know? How did we come to know about this? But they found that if you continue with this type of question, major question, okay, they hit the wall. This is what they said, not me. It's not my discovery. No, this is what they discovered for themselves. That it's like when you are really trying to do something, you go exponentially and then you plateau. There is no more advances. You need a new deflection point, if you like. Okay? So what did they do? When you hit the wall, what do? When you change direction. So they changed the question. You know what is the new question? What do you mean? This is the basic question that they start with. So everything today is about meaning. You tell, in other words, meaning is like direction. And you see, this is why we have been referring all along about Qur'an. When we say Qur'an is the reference for guidance, we were saying also it is the reference for direction. It doesn't tell me how to act, but to what I should give, what type of direction I have to give to my action. It gives me meaning to my actions. You see? So the same thing. Okay, what these changes that happened around or as the result of this revelation of this surah, what is the major transformation? What did it mean to the society? Because as you alluded to earlier, Brother Yusuf, in your argument, is that if we look at the status of women in Arabia in general, and probably was applicable to so many parts in the world, was terrible. It was less than zero. Why I am saying this? If in certain spots or in certain regions or among certain tribes, they were practicing infanticide, which means killing infants, even burying them alive. And Quran alluded to that.
They're still doing it after.
But let us take that in that environment. Okay, if I see this is what happening at point 0, okay, before Quran was revealed, and now after 18, 20 years of revelation of Quran, okay, and the work of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and dealing with these issues, now I see a woman, a single woman coming to the Prophet and arguing with him about a certain social issue, by itself a transformation.
It was a normal.
You see?
If I may add one more thing,
Yeah.
which is more powerful to me. Even the start of the surah is قَدْ سَمِعَ اللَّهُ قَوْلَ الَّتِي. I heard the pleading of the woman. Allah by Himself is coming to the rescue of the woman.
Exactly.
That's the most powerful.
It's very good, yeah. And this is where you can, what does it tell you about the status of the woman? You see, like, and for this woman to have the courage in that environment to come and present her case by itself is telling us about what is this new environment that allowed that lady to come to do something of that nature. I mean, if I'm saying that this is the situation of women in general and how they were viewed and this is how they were treated, and now I see a different behavior. Okay, no question that all these years had paid off. So they become part of the solution. It's not like Qur'an saying, oh, I noticed that there is something wrong here and this is the solution. Qur'an is there. Before that woman is saying, yes, it has not been revealed to us because this Qur'an represents the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His ilm. So it was there before that woman even uttered a single word. Yes, please.
Perhaps an even more remarkable exception in that environment was Khadija.
Mm-hmm.
Who was, forget about being downtrodden. I mean, she was of equal stature to men in terms of her wealth. She is the one employing the messenger. She is the one proposing for marriage.
Yes.
A really remarkable exception. I don't know.
It was really an exception, to be honest with you. And when you look at how others were really treated, okay, no question that was really a mutation. This is why I was careful in my statement to say that these things were not practiced in all of Arabia. For example, infanticide. Okay, it was not like in every single tribe, but that was a problem. That would tell us, aside from the practice itself and its ferocity and the atrocity associated with it, but it really, again, what does it really mean? It means that these beings were not treated as human beings, or they were not human to these basically creatures. Okay, yes.
I think one common element, I think we always forget about that. I think that the women are treated badly when there is poverty. The situation is in the lower classes. That's where I think when we talk about the women in the higher upper classes, that were not the issues there. I think it's still the case right now. Mm-hmm. Right? When we're seeing that women are treated very well. That's why when we talk about women in good status in rich families, they are going to become a doctor. They're treated bad. Good. They are the one also sometimes they have bad views about women in lower class too, right? So the problem really prevalent is in the people who are disenfranchised.
Yes.
Those are the people where the girls are getting buried are people who are poor because they cannot feed a person who cannot provide for them, right? That's where the issue was really.
Very
I
good.
think that's what I think
Very
we
good.
need to correct.
Very good. In other words, Brother Shakil, and I'm thank you for bringing this, because these issues are, yes, in our discussion we are separating them, but in fact they are highly connected. Remember when we talked in Surah An-Nur and we saw this connection between prostitution and the slavery. Okay? And you can see it in the same unit of meaning, in the same verse, which as if Quran is saying, think about it, find the connection. Okay, and if you want to treat one, you have to treat the other at the same time. You are not going so it is a bundle. Okay, so if and the surah will touch on issues of discrimination, not at the level of the gender, but also at the level of the social status. Okay, and this is why I said, okay, no, but so there is this common thread, okay, of degradation, however it is against women or against any thing that may look different from us or from among people or taking advantage to exploit. Yes, yes, please, Dr.
The heart, for example, whether it exists or not.
I'm sorry, what?
The heart, for example.
Oh, the heart, okay.
Whether it exists or not, it continues to serve the subjective awareness with the qualities that it has.
Exactly.
Correct?
Yes.
So is
And-
awareness multi-directional or is it unidirectional? Does it have a direction or not? Does God have a direction or not?
And again, the same thing what we were saying, when you are really treating it as one example of other things that will lead to the same or a pretense to lead to the degradation, it will apply then. Okay, that's where we need really to go out from the example to the bigger lesson itself. Okay, and this is not easy because Qur'an will talk about it when we call it in Arabic ibra. Is that right? But which means ubur, from crossing. Okay, but ibra Qur'an, in order to really understand it, okay, you know what Qur'an brings? Brings the issue وَإِنَّ لَكُمْ فِي الْأَنْعَامِ لَعِبْرَةً. In order to understand at the intellectual level, in order to visualize it, okay, Qur'an will use an example from our physical world, okay. Look at the milk, Qur'an is saying. The milk that we drink from and we get from the animals, Qur'an is saying, وَإِنَّ لَكُمْ فِي الْأَنْعَامِ لَعِبْرَةً نُسْقِيكُم مِّمَّا فِي بُطُونِهِ مِن بَيْنِ فَرْثٍ وَدَمٍ لَبَنًا خَالِصًا سَائِغًا لِلشَّارِبِينَ. And probably some of you have heard this, but this is very interesting because Ar-Razi, who was a commentator but also a physician, when he saw this verse that the milk comes in between, okay, the waste in our gastrointestinal tract and the blood vessel, من بين فرث ودم لبنا خالصا سائغا للشاربين. So the first thing that came to his mind, that does milk also go through channels like our blood? So there is a gastrointestinal tract, there are blood vessels, the blood go through. What about milk? The first thing now, forget what you know now, okay? Think about that individual. So he looked at what people said as commentators. They treated it as such. If you look at earlier commentators' work, they will do it, they will address it in this fashion. But he said, stop. Is that really true? How are we going to examine that? Let us cut that. And they know how to do anatomy. Anatomy has become advanced, okay, as part of understanding medicine and everything. So he cut the animal, did not see any vessels carrying milk. So how milk then is being produced in the animal or even in the human? What is the process? It's even if you take the whole volume of the blood, it's not the milk is more than that that is produced. So how it is being produced from the circulation, okay, and so it by the process of churning. This type of extraction, it's not easy. The same thing when you extract ibra from a social event. You have to deal with it in this fashion. It's high, it's at a higher level. It's not a simple process. Vikar, who is interested in history, you know what I am talking about. when you see like these historical accounts, it's not right away you can come up with an answer. You need lot of studies. Today we have, if you really need to understand history, you have social studies, including anthropology, sociology, human geography, the list goes on and on. And the highest among these is philosophy of history. You see where I am leading. Okay, so in order to understand or deal with this issue, not just a simple example and dwell on it and like drown in it. No. The idea is to take it just as an example, to apply it to multiple examples. I used to have a professor in chemistry during pre-med, and he was an excellent teacher, and teaching organic chemistry, which is considered advanced really courses in chemistry, and I know till today students are most fearful of organic chemistry. Okay, but the way he taught it, it's very interesting, and he will say, look, I will dwell on one example. I want you to understand. If you understand one equation, then you can apply it to hundreds of equations. So the same way, this is why I said we want to come out from, I don't want to be imprisoned in the example, but how I can learn to move this ubur, this ibra that needs lot of information and knowledge in order to extract that. In other words, somebody may have a deeper knowledge in certain area and say, oh, I can shed more light. This is why we are doing it collectively. Because you can bring your experience. He can produce, our sisters can bring their experiences. And then we can see how we have a deeper understanding of the issue itself.
Qur'an is giving you ayats.
Mm-hmm.
What you said, ibra, we have to take the ibra.
Ibra, and also the ability to ask questions. The same way you presented, okay, your point. Okay, is this really just one direction or really multi-directional? Make sense? Yeah, okay, yes.
Like, when we go through Quran for reflection, I think social sciences are very important, as you said. Philosophy, the mother of... But I see, like, from Marxism to capitalism, that has to play a big role in the society, like inventions itself. But I see, as a student of economics myself, as Brother Yusuf said, or Shakil said, it has to, social sciences has to play a big role to change the society's fabric. Like, if somebody is not economically free,
yes,
they will be still target of exploitation.
Yes.
And if somebody is socially, like, even they are well off, but they are known as the low caste people, they would not be still treated the same way as the high caste, but not economically.
Very good. Because I think you are touching on a very important issue that is related to the idea of meaning. Because it's not only, the purpose is not just, okay, to say, oh, this means this and this means that. If I can reach the understanding of the meaning of something, the next step it has to be transformation. It means that it helps me to change, okay, my life, my behavior, my understanding about something that would help me to move me into, and people who really looked into meaning, one pillar of the study of meaning is transcendence. Transcendence like means climbing, flying into a higher level. You see what I mean? I'll give you an example. If Qur'an is telling me, look in the heavens and earth, okay, and reflect. Okay? So when you start looking, if you look in the telescope and you see these galaxies, the owl that result from that, okay, if it stops there, the next day will be the same. But if that owl tells you, oh my God, there is a meaning behind this universe, this creation.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? It will transform you. You will look at things differently. You will not be the same person. But if you look, as Quran said, يَمُرُّونَ عَلَيْهَا وَهُمْ عَنْهَا غَافِلُونَ. They see things, but as if they have not seen it. They have not they reflected on it. They have not transcended. You see what I mean? But Quran, when it talks about the real people of reason and intellect, when they really look in the heavens and earth, what do they say? إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب. People who have reason. Okay? لآيات أولي الألباب الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض. You see, they look, they use their senses, the observation, okay? But what they are doing, they are reflecting. يتفكرون, they think, ponder, okay? Trying to make sense of this creation. Immediately they say, رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا. You have not created this in vain. What does it really mean? There is a meaning.
What is this surah al-ayah?
In the end of surah, the last 2 pages of surah Al-Imran. Very beautiful. رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا. That was the response to that process. What does it really mean when I say, oh God, you have not created this in vain? It means that you have created for a reason. There is a meaning behind it.
And I have to look at
And you have to see, if you follow the verses, you see how these people want to be transformed. It's very beautiful. But unfortunately, people who talk about this issue, they think they make of the human being less. When they see something bigger, oh, I am. No, you are not less. You are making. All these have been created for you. How many times you read in Quran, سَخَّرْنَا لَكُمْ, which we have created these things for your service. Who is bigger than? You are bigger. Although they are physically bigger than you. I think Iqbal said that.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
raising.
Yeah.
सितारों से आगे जहां और भी हैं,
Yeah.
अभी इश्क के इम्तिहान और
Which
भी
means what?
हैं. That is, these galaxies are not. These are not the end. You have to go beyond these galaxies of with all these, because your ishq will take you beyond.
This is the
that.
transcendence.
Since then,
This is the transcendence. You see, the flying, you see the climbing, okay?
He said it's not the end.
Yeah, exactly. The verse that comes also to mind, I mean, the poetic verse that comes to mind, وَتَحْسَبُ أَنَّكَ جُرْمٌ صَغِيرٌ. I think this is a translation from Iqbal. وَتَحْسَبُ أَنَّكَ جُرْمٌ صَغِيرٌ. You think about yourself as like a small planet. وَفِيكَ انْطَوَى الْعَالَمُ الْأَكْبَرُ. If you look around this whole universe, this physical existence has been created in you.
That's what Iqbal is saying.
Yeah, I think this is Iqbal.
One more, he said, my creation made even the heavens, they shivered when I was created. That this small thing could become such a big thing to take over everything.
To encompass all this, to understand, to grasp it. Okay? What does it really mean when for example, a scientist understands a certain phenomenon, a physical phenomenon? Like, let us say, Newton trying to understand the gravity. Is he the first one who talked about gravity? I can show you older books talking about al-jadibiyya or gravity. But why he is given the most credit? Because he was able to grasp it more than others, and they put it in a formula. What does it mean, a formula? Formula is really a reflection of that you have grasped that idea. You understood it to the deepest possible levels. Okay? Otherwise, how come you are going to come up with a formula about it? You see what I mean? Nobody before him was able to come up with a formula about it. So, no question that his understanding is much, but so he remained bigger than the gravity itself. Because he is grasping it, not the other way around.
Gravity was still there.
It's still there, but it's not. And in fact, it was brought under the control of man. Do you think if without this understanding of gravity, the human being was able to fly? Flying doesn't mean that you are against gravity. Gravity is still there. But the more you understand it, you can bring it under your own control. And it will work for you, not against you. How does it work against me if I go to the roof and throw myself? No question, the gravity will work against me. Is that right? I mean, I will be crushed or even dead. So this way I am going against it. But if I understand it well, I can come around and control it and even fly the way we see it today. And really in the study of aviation, there is a lot of lessons to learn. How really the human being was able to really climb and transcend. But we want really the transformation to occur also inside, not only outside. We have seen the changes on the outside, how it made our life easier, and no problem about that. We need it. But the point is, was that coupled with inner transformation? You see what I mean? And that's where we need really to ask these questions. What does that incident mean? And how I can bring it really to my time and the space in order to remain relevant. Otherwise, zihar is not relevant today. Can you put an article in the New York Times and say I am talking about zihar? They will laugh at you. Honestly, they will laugh at you. But if you put it in its context and say, oh my God, this something was practiced long time ago and we are still clinging to the same idea behind it. In degrading women, in degrading other human beings, then it will make sense. People will become interested. What is this? Wow, what was that thing that you are talking about? Something of that nature. Yes, please.
Yeah, the space and time will also, if you understand the relationship between space and time, we can easily understand and believe what a lot of people, philosophers and Western countries are not understanding, the event of Miraj. How the Prophet ﷺ went and came back, passing the whole space and the time. So when the time is mixing with the space, then so we can understand a lot of those. Qur'an.
Very good. Very good. So, please.
It's a little diversion, like you said.
No.
For believers, yes, man should not, or the believer should not consider himself or view himself as little. But for the non-believer, I'm just borrowing lines from the Quran. Allah says, خَلَقَهُمْ مِن نُطْفَةٍ فَإِذَا هُمْ خَصِيمٌ مُبِينٌ. So as if Allah is saying, you know where I created you from, and you have the audacity to argue with me or deny me. So the non-believer is truly insignificant.
I look at it really different.
Okay. Yeah.
I see it Qur'an is really helping us to understand ourselves that from that little thing that is insignificant and haqir, if you like, okay, because Quran used mahin, which is the weak and insignificant, but see the transformation where you have reached. You not reach only a creature, but a creature that is capable of making arguments. Khasim. You can go into a dispute and you will be very eloquent. Because what made this human being different from, let us say, other animals? Why we even today they see, oh my God, language is really one of the most important really things that we made that transformation. Even if I look at all these creatures before, lower than man, if you like, where we made the change, where is the major transformation? No question, thinking and language is really how much they tried to teach a chimpanzee like to talk and communicate and everything, and they could not do it, because this is a paradigm shift. It's not really something that you can make this crossing. You see, this is where creation comes. You see, I am not against this evolution, because Quran said it. You were created from tin, from clay. But before man, there were so many things were created from tin. You see? But see that journey that brought you to that level. Okay? So, what does it mean to you? You see where instead of looking at it as you are little, no, you see yourself in a better position, in a higher position. And don't stop there. The transcendence should continue.
But I'm still trying to emphasize the difference between the believer's attitude and the non-believer.
Yeah.
For example, in the Surah that you said, once you realize all this, then what's the line he says? Subhanaka faqina azaban nar.
Exactly.
He's humble. He accepts, his puniness compared to Allah's vast creation.
Not only that,
right?
Brother Noor, but also he does not see that life ends there.
Yeah.
Because he is moving along with all this life towards a bigger life. And if you are going there, what is your concern? To be saved over there. You see, you are trying to save yourself here. But if you fail here, are we going to succeed over there?
Oh, no way.
No way! This is the message, unfortunately, that is reaching our new generation. As if we are telling them, you may fail here, but please say, what is this oxymoron? Honestly, it is an oxymoron, because you are telling them, fail here and succeed over there. How come? Yes.
The issue of believer and non-believer, like when I was young, it was very, black and white. But in this day and age, with the so-called believers and doing so much destruction and the ISIS and everything, I think that believer and non-believer concept is not the same when I was young as to what I see now. Because the believers were supposed to be all these, love and humanity and unity and all the good things.
Yes.
And the non-believers were all the bad things, But now, it's the believers who are creating...
why? I mean,
the non-believers...
The so-called believers.
Yeah, so
believing on what? Believing in... That's why we need to I think your point is very well taken. In other words, let us demystify the mystic, okay? Let us really understand what do we mean. If I say I believe in Allah, okay? Believing in what?
What?
You see what I mean? Do I believe that He is forgiving? And so I practice forgiveness in my life. Do I believe in Him as representing justice, because He is Al-Adl? So so if I am practicing atrocities, what does that really mean? I mean, is it contradicting?
Because that's
Yeah.
politicizing
Yes.
of the term believer.
Exactly.
And belief.
Exactly. No question about
so
it.
For us, maybe we have a clear concept, but the younger generation.
We need to really like, yeah, and
I
yeah.
think like
You are
the
right.
point should be, emphasis should be on the values.
Which means
Yeah.
that we need to change our curriculum. And I'm not talking about, believe me, I'm not talking about like one school or another, but in general, we have to ask ourselves, what are we teaching our kids? In view of the challenges that we are living today. But in the context of our discussion, when you believe, what does it really mean when I believe in Allah? Because Allah is the highest goal that one can put for himself. So the transcendence that we are talking about is continuous. It doesn't stop. And this is why we always say, إِنِّي مُهَاجِرٌ إِلَىٰ رَبِّي. Because hijrah is a transformation from clay to God. See how far is that journey? And it will be always ongoing. So the meaning that we were talking about, or the inference of the meaning of everything we do or everything that is happening around us, we need like to ask ourselves, is it helping me in this transcendence? To what extent it is transforming me to be closer? What does it mean closer to Allah? Closer in psychologizing and internalizing His beautiful names. Otherwise, what does it really mean? When I say I get closer as if Allah is a thing and I am getting closer to it? No. Closer meaning that I am really closer to His beautiful names, because He asked me to internalize them in my life. And believe me, but I'm saying I personally tend to believe that the first thing Adam was taught, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا, his names. It has to do with it. What does it really mean to Adam to know that this is a table and this is a chair and this is... What is going to make... Is it going to make him a better human being? But if he learned about forgiveness, if he learned about life, if he learned about love, if he learned about... This will make him a better human being, closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And all the names and all the languages are human made. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the power. As you know, even the deaf and mute they have not heard a single word in their life.
Communicate.
And they have their own language. They created their own language. Mandela, if you read his biography, when he was with his friends in prison, they created a new language for themselves. You know by how? With their eyes. So what are we talking about? So what is important for Adam? You see what I mean? So why I am saying this? Because I am trying to say that this is the human being from day one. But we forgot about what does it really mean to be a human being. To being human. We talk about a human being. We need to start talking about being human. Make sense? So and the surah, believe me, is about that. Because if you take the issue of zihar, if you take these secret councils, the forbidden, the bad forms, okay, if you say the discrimination against certain groups in society, and we will see that when they are coming like to learn from the Prophet, they start really like discriminating against. If you are poor, you should not be closer. You should be sitting away, from us or something like that. Or the monopoly of the education offered by the Prophet. Some people wanted to monopolize it. Okay, because they have more money or they have a different status and they want to shun away others. It's another form of degradation. And no question about there were also groups within the society in Medina who were trying to plot against the community itself, especially the hypocrites, and through plotting and also treason, which means working with an external enemy. The same thing. What will happen to the solidarity of the society in this situation? It will disintegrate. No question about it. And also, all the people, the surah itself will address those who were working against the welfare of the community, knowingly or unknowingly, by giving aid or support or communicate with people who were plotting now from the outside. So however it is, let me repeat what I said in terms of the objective or the axis of the surah. I said to prevent the internal and external, because there are also people plotting from the outside still. Pretenses, internal and external pretenses that lead to degradation, however it is at gender level, social status level, and all other levels, and mistrust, degradation, mistrust, and the disruption of the solidarity of the new society in Medina. Make sense now, where the surah is basically heading, and inshallah in the coming sessions we will tackle each one of them as the surah tackled them in a group of verses. Yes.
When we were talking about, when sister asked a question, we were talking about the lives, whatever we will do, we live
will be reflected.
It's very easy to, when I give an example, I'm not a physician or anything, but if a mother does a mistake with the feet, is taking something wrong, then the disability will stay with you or stick with you for the whole of your life. Physically, like you took a wrong medication or something, there's a mental problem with a human while he or she was still in the womb. So same as with this life, if we do something wrong with this life, mistreat this life, the result of the next life
will be lasting. Yes.
That's what
very
it is.
Good. Yes,
so
very good.
We have to take it.
So what does mean? Again, that the vigilance should be very high. The level of vigilance should be very high, so that to prevent something, these lasting really outcomes. Yes.
And in one of the previous discussions, it was very revealing when somebody again from the floor had raised a question about kafir or non-believers, and you say you won't call the people who are not Muslim non-believers if they are doing the right thing, if they are doing truth, if they are supporting justice and all those things, because they have those values, and maybe they don't have the iman or the shahada or whatever, but because they believe in those higher values, which are the ultimate values, so
we need, it is our job.
Yes, it's not to call them non-believers.
No, it's our job. It's our Dr. Hamida, it's our job to show even these people, because they are doing so many good things. Do you know? We need to tell them. Do you know that what you are doing? This is really what Allah means. But so many people don't know. They think that you believe in God as if you believe in an idol. Yeah, honestly, I mean, how many times people have told us what type of like worship you have? They think that. I remember when I told one of my colleagues that we say in our prayer, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, and I translated to him. He said, he jumped. He jumped, and you know this person.
Yeah.
He jumped from the chair. He said, Dr. Khayr, are you sure that this is what you say in your prayer? He didn't know that we believe in God who belongs to everybody, doesn't belong to me or to my group or whatever. He's the Lord of all worlds. So we take sometimes things for granted, and we started judging and giving. It's not my job. I mean, we reverse our jobs, honestly, or the job of the prophets. Okay, the job of the prophet. عليك البلاغ وعلينا الحساب. عليك البلاغ. Your job is really to relay the message. It's not really your job. Hisab is not your job. Okay. And what do we say? I mean, every time in our Maliki Yawm al-Din. What is Maliki Yawm al-Din? He is like in charge of the day of a judgment. Hisab is a judgment. Thankfully that he is Rahman Rahim. Which one do you want to have, a judge who is Rahman Rahim or any other judge? You see what I mean? So leave it. This is not your job. Your job is really to explain what does it really mean. And Brother Noor has asked, very nicely that we need to emphasize this in our khutbah, in our discussions, and also we need to transform it really into our curricula. That really the end point is to what extent I am really internalizing and psychologizing, integrating these beautiful names of Allah into my own psyche that will reflect on my daily activities, how I control and regulate my daily activities. And this is discipline, because it comes from the inside. No torture, no forcing, no coercion, no compulsion. Is there stronger than something coming from the inside? Do you want your kids? I'm sure you did not teach your kids around the dining table, do this and don't do that. They looked at you. They looked how you treat others, how you treat them with trust and love and forgiveness and everything. They learn. They learn by modeling, by seeing a model, translating these values into actions. They understand it. Even, and I will go further and to say, even if they do mistakes, these values, not me or you. Today I am with them, tomorrow all my kids now in college. They don't even live with me anymore. You see what I mean? But I don't even have the capacity to look over their shoulders anymore. And I did not do that before. But the point is, even if they do mistakes, these values will bring them back, not me. And this is why I say all the time that I don't teach my kids not to make mistakes. I teach them how to transcend, how to repent. Because really tawbah is a transcendence, transformation. When you do not accept the mistake, the prison of the mistake. It's not the problem in the mistake, my dear brothers and sisters. It's the prison of the mistake is the problem, which Qur'an calls khati'ah, not khata. Qur'an uses khata and khati'ah.
Unconscious and
Khata, a mistake that unconsciously do it, immediately you can do it, come back. But khati'ah, وَأَحَاطَتْ بِهِ خَطِيئَتُهُ, imprisoned in that wrongdoing. This is the problem, how transcendence becomes liberation of that prison. You see what I mean? It's not do and don't do it. It's not going to work. Don't you see and observe that our kids are running away from our centers?
Yes.
Why? Because this is the message they get every time they come. Don't do this and don't do that. And this applies to women and doesn't apply, and applies to men, doesn't apply to women, applies to men. How come? I mean, what type of message you give to the new generation? Tell me.
And also this, that this is kafir, this is this.
The same thing, the same problem.
And they see that their friends
It's
are
the
good
same
people,
problem.
and they don't believe it.
Now, one day when we fall into that issue, kafir, and as if we are treating these problems as if something happened to others, we forgot that these diseases can affect every one of us. Nobody is immune to these diseases of kufr, nifaq, fusuq, asyan, all these problems that Qur'an talk about. Qur'an talking to people who believe, but they are at risk all the time. Why we have to take vaccines and protect ourselves? Because we feel that we are immune and others. So I am a doctor, I will not be vaccinated, and I only vaccinate my patients. Do you do that? You took the flu vaccine and you recommended it to your patients. Is that right? Imagine that you say, no, I am a doctor, I am immune. No, who said that? The same thing. We are treating these diseases as if we are immune to them. They happen outside. Oh, outside, the kafir outside. Why you are talking about the kafir outside? It's not a problem here. I'm not, please don't misunderstand me. I don't use this. You see, the word kafir is worse than cursing.
Cursing, yeah, it is.
It's worse. And I don't use it neither inside or outside in that fashion. I use it as a disease that we all have to work and struggle to protect ourselves against it. I have something more, but I will leave it for another occasion because I may be misunderstood, but I will leave it at this moment.
Can I request you one thing?
Yes.
Maybe going forward, because these questions are coming here in our audience also, if you can devote one lecture to this ayah, إن الذين آمنوا والذين هادوا والنصارى والصابئين من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر وعمل صالحا فلهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون.
I dedicated a whole khutbah about that. Yes.
Yes, one of the ayah of Quran, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu taqullaha haqqa tuqatih wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun.
Which means the struggle should continue to the last breath.
Yeah, everything to the moment. Don't die till you become Muslim. This is the path. If I say I'm a physician, will you believe me? Will you not ask me which college or where, what certification you have it? I think I am a Mu'min, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, doesn't mean La ilaha illallah, I am become a Muslim. I have to work on it.
Yes, the engagement.
Till I die, till my death, I have to work on it. So it's a continuous process.
No question about it. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you very much.